I guess that's how time works.
Yeah, time is still on that flat circle shit.
That's true.
I think maybe COVID just ripped away the veil for all of us, and time has always been so strange as it seems.
It's like a fish. Time is like a fish that you catch or whatever. The fuck is the name of that dumbass album? You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the David Lynch book?
Maybe that's what it's named after.
Oh, I think I misheard you a little bit because like the audio broke up for a second.
Our Lady Peace has an album that's like happiness is not a fish that you can catch.
You did say something about, okay, yeah. David Lynch wrote a book on meditation called something about like catching the big fish or something like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Man, that guy's about to die. I'm a little bummed, I
David
guess.
Lynch?
Yeah. David Lynch started smoking when he was 8, he said.
Started smoking what?
Cigarettes.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense.
He's got, yeah, I think that was more of a common thing back in those days, I guess. I mean, I started smoking when I was like 12, which isn't that, I mean, it feels different to me because it's like teenage versus, I don't know, 8 just seems so young, but whatever.
No, I mean, it's not really teenage though.
Yeah, I mean, it's close.
Right.
Leave that to Matt.
It's like
Matt
being a
Gaetz
hebephile.
Exactly, that's where I was going with it. Matt Gaetz is not a pedophile. He's a hebephile. So is that guy that Linda McMahon was covering for or whatever.
Who is that? I don't even know this.
Oh, I was just about to say, I assume you know all about that shit.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I'm sorry. The context of calling it like Linda McMahon covering for him is like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, yes. The foot guy.
It was a foot guy?
Man. He was a foot guy, yeah. He was a little boy's foot guy, which is pretty fucking weird. Yeah, that's like top of the creep hierarchy. Although that article I sent you might be creating a new paradigm of top of the creep hierarchy. The
dogs.
The one that we shall not name. Yeah.
Well, like I clicked on the article and I was like, I kept scrolling down like, this is it. This is like really short. It was like, I don't know. Not that I was looking for more details on the content, but
Sure. I saw more stuff other places, so that was just like I guess like a placeholder article. I should have posted some other stuff.
I suppose if we completely run out of things to talk about, just pull out the dog porn article.
Right. Well, like I said, I don't think anybody else is going to talk about it.
Oh no. True.
Oh! I misread it. Okay. Anyways.
What?
Well, it was the dog guy, which it's kind of funny because of the whole putting peanut butter on whatever. It says like Steven holds more than 50 world records, including highest ever score in Pac-Man. He once held the record for fastest time to sort 500 gram of peanut M&Ms. But when I first read it, I thought it said to snort 500 grams of peanut M&Ms. And I was like, why did he do that? Why would they give him a record for that? Yeah, but no, that is not what he did.
I mean, that would be more physical feat of strength than just sorting them.
Sure. But they're not going to give you a record for that.
Yeah, probably not. That probably goes against some
self-harm thing, yeah.
Yeah, human rights, Guinness World Ethics.
Yeah, well, this guy would deserve it. This guy would have it coming. Anyways.
Known peanut butter connoisseur and dog adoption enthusiast. All right, but speaking of giving good brain, let's start the show. I always think of that sweet Lil Wayne line about getting head. You know, the one.
Yeah, the one time he talks about it.
She give me good brain like she studied at Cambridge. Always cracked me up.
It's a good one. That is a good one.
All right.
She give me good brain like she studied at Cambridge. Bridge.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast that has always maintained that if we take eternity to mean not infinite temporal duration but timelessness, then eternal life belongs to those who live in the present. It is 12:24 p.m. in the afternoon, KST, Saturday, November 23rd, year of our Lord, 2024. These are the pre-recorded vocal cord vibrations of Joshua Nomen Mutatio here, and over there is Tim Christie Noam Chomsky Buckner. How's it going, Tim?
In the spirit of Trump cabinet picks or announcements, you know. It's always great to finally be back after a long 2-week absence on the only podcast that's willing to ask the question, will Matt Gaetz be the final victim of woke? Once Trump gets in there, no one will be canceled for this damn woke bullshit anymore.
He's the last one. He's the final Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's too bridge too far. If a guy can't sex traffic young girls, I mean. Anyways, how you doing tonight, Josh? And be Attorney General. Why is it it's so bad to have a 17-year-old adopted son that you possibly have sex with and do drugs with, and be the AG? Come on now.
I mean, the Speaker of the House is doing the same playbook as far as I remember. Mr. Mike Penis.
Mike Penis. Well, no, he's doing like weird jerk off sessions with his son or whatever. His actual son.
I think he has a POC adopted son. No?
Yeah.
Did I make that up?
He might. No, no, you might be right. I wasn't shaking my head. No,
okay.
I'm shaking my head. What has this world come to?
I swear we even maybe talked about this on the podcast. We did.
Probably. They're all too excited to have a little bit too much Jesus in the household, if you know what I mean. They're going to have their own Jesus.
Speaker Mike Penis explained why they put in quotation marks, adopted black son is not involved in his public life. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. You keep business and pleasure separate, I guess.
Yeah, anyway, him and his wife. I mean, it's a little less sus, I suppose, if you and your good Christian wife adopt a kid together,
right.
Unlike being a fucking absolute. Is there anyone more cartoonishly like predatory looking than fucking Matt Gaetz? It's hard to think of.
No.
Think of it.
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it's pretty cool to take that physiognomy tact on it, because it's that was a very funny reminder that like Red Scare has fully turned on him as well after he I think because they were doing their thing after he recalled, and they were talking about how much he looks like a cartoon pedophile or whatever. Like, yeah.
But right before that, they were like, he's so cool.
Oh, yeah, of course. He's the coolest. We love him. But I do like the idea now because you said, oh, it's a little bit less sinister if you're adopting the son with your wife or whatever, not just by yourself, which is incredible.
And he was actually a child when they adopted him. It appears
right
at first glance here.
But I also think it's not as it could still be sinister because it could be that Mike Johnson and his wife are doing a Blindside. Like that movie Blindside.
Yeah.
And they've adopted a black child who's good at a sport or something, and they're just exploiting him for that. I mean, it's very possible. Could you imagine if the comic book villain fucking weird ass Mike Penis guy also was doing a Blindside behind the scenes? And he's like, oh, we keep that out of people. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the fact that, like, yeah, I adopted this small black boy who's like the starting quarterback on the Fighting Irish or whatever.
I think actually, with like Mike Johnston's deal is he's like a true believer. Like he really is like this Christian freak that he portrays himself to be. Because it's like it says here that him and his wife, like right after they got married, they adopted this 14-year-old kid. Like, like. Part of me is like, oh, adoption in general is like, it's a pretty good pro-society type thing to do or whatever.
Yeah.
But with someone as unnerving as Mike Johnson doing it, it's hard not to scrutinize everything he does as having weird ulterior motives or something.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was like, and I looked it up to make sure that I was definitely wrong, but I was like, did I invent in my mind that Matt Gaetz is basically like Quagmire from Family Guy? And like a quick Google search is like, no, people have been saying this for years. I unconsciously soaked that up.
Right.
So our government is transitioning, and
just like 90% of American youth today.
Yeah, and we gotta put a stop to that.
That's true.
I didn't even think about that. All this
anti-trans stuff.
Yeah, anti-trans stuff. But I was just about to say, like, it's like so much of it is like fantasy stuff that like Trump hasn't even talked about. Like people making up all these fake laws and like putting like signs on their lawn that are like, we gotta stop H35C from passing. And it's like a completely made up thing about like mandatory transitioning amongst like all teenagers in the nation or whatever. Just like crazy shit like that. But
well, that is like a plus side of the whole thing, and it is part of why it's really hard for me to take the people who are like melting down again seriously. But it's like it's the people who just don't get it. Like they don't realize that it's not cool anymore. It's like the people who were wearing like corn shirts for a little bit too long, you know what I mean? It's like, you guys didn't really, we're not doing that anymore. Everyone's into the Strokes now. We all like the Strokes. Like the cool thing about the whole Trump administration is they just made up all this bullshit about like, doing trans to your kids by force, or like turning illegal aliens into, trans, or eating dogs and cats, that like everyone's like, oh no, he's gonna do all this stuff that he's riles up his base that they're really into. But like, all he has to do is, in quotations mark, stop all that crazy shit that he made up, and then they're going to be happy. So he doesn't actually have to do anything. He made the perfect setup. It's like, I get you all scared about shit that's not happening.
That doesn't exist.
And the only way to stop it from happening is to make me president. And then he becomes president and he's like, look, it's not happening. It never was happening. But he's just like, look, it's not happening because I'm president. And everyone's like, great job, Trump. Good work. We love you. We love you, President Daddy.
That is some like Usual Suspects, Kaiser Soze level prestige, sleight of hand. How many other movie references can I cram into this?
Yeah, right. Get it in there. I think Wolverine. Wolverine and Deadpool.
It's like some Deadpool shit. He drops the fourth wall. He's like, hey, everybody. Hi, President Trump here. Just wanted to talk to you about how I'm a character in your movie. But yeah, so, I mentioned something to this effect maybe the last episode, but like, it's still amusing to me to watch like the quote unquote resistance or lack thereof it really is like, it is so different from 2016, at least for the time being. People really are kind of rolling over, like even like rhetorically, or and I don't know. It just feels like, I mean, I don't have my finger totally on the pulse, but like, from what I can gather, even the people that normally would be like scaremongering the most, like I sense that like Rachel Maddow is even like, I can't rehash all that shit I did last time, even though there have been like little like starts and stops of like feeling like Russiagate's about to repeat or whatever. Although that's mostly been in the form of
Russiagate.
That's mostly been in the form of Tulsi Gabbard being
oh yeah,
what position she's supposed to get again? I forgot.
Something with like the intelligence agency.
Yeah, head of intelligence or something like that.
Yeah,
I have
which makes sense.
I have the whole list here.
Trump is like, Department of Intelligence, of course. The bitch with the gray streak. She's very smart. That's how you get. Everyone knows when you have a gray streak like that, it means wisdom. She's very smart. Of course, she'll be in head of intelligence. He doesn't know what the fuck that means.
She's one of the good mutants, folks.
Yes. I did want to say though, because you said how quickly everyone's rolling over. But obviously, after 4 years of the Biden presidency and forcing people to identify as dogs and other pet animals, of course, they're going to roll over onto their backs, waiting in an anticipation of those sweet, sweet belly rubs, folks. We've been trained. They are dogs and cats. They go in kitty litter boxes in the kids' bathrooms. Everyone knows this. So yeah, of course.
You know, I think one thing I saw that to me like kind of I'm gonna say represents a lot of like the Democratic establishment, I guess we could call it.
Democrat, yeah.
Was Liz Warren talking about the this cabinet, and she was basically like, well, I have disagreements with Marco Rubio. He's at least a normal one. He's at least a normal evil Hitler man. So she basically just like gave him a pass. And I'm honestly gonna, probably the only reason I'll pay attention to like the confirmation hearings is to see what a like landslide Marco Rubio gets like from the Dems. Right. They're all just like, oh, he's all right because we know that guy, and he's like, you know, we basically agree on a lot of the same shit. Right. And he can like, I don't know, comport himself as like quote unquote like a normal guy, at least like relative to like, you know, politicians. But then she's like, but someone like Tulsi Gabbard who visited Syria and went to Russia one time. Like, and look, there are plenty of legitimate reasons to be like, fuck Tulsi Gabbard, but they're all reasons that come from further left than the Democratic Party. So like, you're not going to hear them from the Democratic Party. You're just going to hear bullshit Russiagate, you know, scary Syria, like made up nonsense. Like, but anyway, I mean, I'm just going to say it should almost go without saying, at least for, you know, our audience, that Tulsi Gabbard is not a Kremlin asset.
It'd be a lot cooler if she was. Am I right? Yeah.
Well, her problem is that like she'll take like the sort of principled anti-imperialism stance like after she's like personally gone into a war zone and shot people in the head or whatever.
She's one of those people who says, I gotta learn by doing. I can't understand that something is bad until I've gotten in there. And that doesn't apply. Like, you can't then apply that learned knowledge to everything. It's like, okay, you know, I don't know. I can't understand how to make like a burrito until I've actually made one. But then you can't extrapolate like, what's it like to make a taco? It's like, no, I got to make one of those too. So it's like, yes, I've got to get in there. I've got to kill Iraqi kids and then to know that that's bad. But then also it's like, I can't necessarily say killing a bunch of Gazan kids is bad, because I haven't done it yet. I need to get in there and see, and then I'll tell you that it's bad.
You gotta put her in with one of those sexy, all-female IDF brigades.
Exactly.
History-making IDF brigades, just exploding entire villages in Lebanon for kicks and posing.
That'll humble her a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, because like everyone goes crazy for her because she's like a, you know, American politics 10, but in the IDF she's like a 6 at best.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little bit older than, you know,
True.
all the
True.
19-year-old Israeli girls who do TikToks and shit while holding guns. But
Yeah, but on this podcast we don't buy into that ageism stuff. You know, women aren't necessarily more attractive when they're younger.
no, some age.
It
like
just has to do with how
fine
stupid
wine.
they are. Yeah. It just has to do with how dumb they are. As long as you can keep them stupid.
Speaking of that,
Kamala Harris, folks. No.
how funny is it how fast she's already like forgotten? Like people like don't even.
Speaking of. No, actually, speaking of, because I just had my trip, and part of my trip, I had a unfortunate layover where I was stuck in Las Vegas. But the one thing that came out of Las Vegas and my time stuck there was I went to the gift shop and they had, oh, it's not going to work. I can't show you.
I saw the
They
top
had
of it, but
Kamala Harris shirts.
I see a coconut with an
It's
umbrella.
you think you fell out of a coconut tree.
Oh, I got it.
You think you fell out of a coconut tree with a coconut drink, and they were on sale at the fucking gift shops in the Vegas airport, 75% off. They were trying to get rid of. They had a bunch of Kamala Walls fucking bullshit merch, but this one, it was the best to me because it's like on the front, it's got the little fucking pocket coconut man, which is fucking great, and then like I'm like backwards. Anyways. And then it says, you think you fell out of a coconut tree on the back. But like you said, she has dropped to 75% off territory within like a couple weeks.
And she's also, oh man, I didn't actually like flag this story, but I just from memory, I saw something that was like, cause you know, they had like nearly $1 billion, was it, for the campaign funds? Yeah. And they're somehow like 20 million in debt.
Right. And the fucked up part about it too is like, you know, they say like all that money goes to fucking consultants and people doing ad buys and shit. But all that debt, they said a lot of that debt is to like just the rank and file employees that weren't getting paid. Jesus. So it's like, oh, the motherfucking consultants and the fucking TV networks and all that bullshit, they got their money, but the regular ass fucking workers, they're the ones who took the shaft. Okay.
And I think it's got to be pretty uncontroversial to say that people were like skimming off the top, some kind of money laundering operations going on in there, as with every like political funding endeavor. Usually, I'm sure that happened with even a principled guy like Bernard Sanders. But
of course.
yeah, it's the same phenomenon as like how quickly Joe Biden was forgotten, and like, is that guy still president? And like, yeah, Kamala like lost and just like instantly disappeared, kind of snap of the fingers, Thanos style. She turned to leaves, folks. She turned to a pile of leaves.
What's the fucking deal with Hillary? That bitch is still around. She's the only motherfucker. She loses presidency and she refuses to fucking disappear. Jesus Christ.
That's her whole life, is just somehow maintaining being in the public eye despite being like hated by so many people. I guess she's also beloved by less people, but still a lot.
I feel like her support is that, you know, I was gonna say a mile wide and an inch deep. I feel like it's not even that. It's like, you know, like a couple yards wide and fucking an inch deep. It's like there's like a small cohort of people who are like, Hillary's, she's a woman who's doing stuff. She did it even though she's a woman, but they're not like stoked on it. They're just like, yeah, you know, we gotta give it to her for being a woman and doing stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But like, I'm just saying, like, she can just kind of be like call up like so many like, you know, big mainstream like news outlets or whatever networks and be like, put me on your TV. I wrote I wrote a 17th book about myself.
Yeah. It was very interesting because, like, a lot of people say, that, like, what she's good at is, like, the behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing of politics. She's not as good up and on the front. And, you know, just kind of executing soft power, which is also funny because that's what Bill Clinton would call his penis whenever she was around.
Come here, Hillary. I'm trying to execute some soft power.
Yes.
Speaking of
Nailed
sex
it.
pests, though, Matt Gaetz is gone. he's withdrawn his name from potentially being nominated for Attorney General.
Yeah. I got some 6-dimensional chess on this, but feel free to run down the story, and then I'll give my.
I was just gonna say,
take.
been replaced by Pamela Joe Bondi. I assume I've never heard of this person before. The first time I saw her was the other day. Someone posted an unflattering picture of her. I didn't know who she was, and they were like, she kind of had like a couple of like kind of like turkey neck folds in the picture.
Yeah.
And the person was like, this person's like chin neck area looks so familiar, and like I was just like Lindsey Graham immediately. I was like, that's Lindsey Graham in drag, and like I invite people to look up Pam Bondi and think about what my my knee jerk reaction, and I think I'm right.
It's really unfair to her because Pamela Joe Bondi is definitely like a heavy hitter, like hot girl names. You know, like that is 3 hot sounding lady names all in a row there. So she's got a lot to live up to. And then you see her and she's going to disappoint, which obviously she does.
It does have adult actress connotations. Yeah. Bondage, you know.
Yeah. Pamela Joe Bondi is, it's like, it's a name that a porn star would pick. It's a name that like you said, like a Lindsey Graham in drag would pick. It's someone who's trying to like really make it clear on like a satirical, like Son of the Beach, where it was like a takeoff on a Baywatch kind of show, or like they would pick that to be like the sexy lady, Pamela Joe Bondi.
Yeah, I mean, I forget where Baywatch took place, but she appears to be a Florida gal through and through, type of sorority Florida type. This is all going by Wikipedia, of course.
Sure.
The podcaster's friend, Wikipedia. But she said something to another, basically the most powerful potential next cabinet member, Lil Marco, which I guess I just I don't pay enough close attention to what goes on in the interdynamics of the GOP, I guess, because I just assumed Marco Rubio was still like, I guess I don't know. I was like just sort of, yeah, basically. Or if not that, like he was still just like considered as such by Trump, but apparently not, because, you know, he's going to be the next Secretary of State. And like I said, I think that,
I mean,
he's probably going to get
fine as long as you'll kiss the ring, you know?
It's true. I was thinking a little bit more about that because we talked about that last time in relation to Elon Musk. Yeah. And I think it depends on like other factors though, because like ass kissing is just like the basic prerequisite, but like you can be like one of the biggest ass kissers and he'll still he fucking threw Steve Bannon to the curb. Bannon was like his fucking soulmate for a time.
But it's also, it has to do with the other thing we talked about with the Elon thing and the RFK thing, is like he's very superficial. So it doesn't matter how much you kiss ass if he wouldn't fuck you or whatever, he's not into it.
Yeah, but I mean, and Elon Musk, I'm still on this. I think he's gonna be dramatically stabbed in the back, possibly. But I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, because I was thinking of like Chris Christie. Like Chris Christie bent the knee hard. He was one of the first ones and all this, and Trump still fucking jettisoned him. And again, it's like a superficial thing.
The harder he bent the knee, the harder he fell. And that that for multiple ways.
At that size, it's hard to take any. At Chris Christie's size, it's hard to take any fall not hard. So, but yeah.
So Pammy Bondi, she shot back. This all was just conjured up in my mind because you said something about I forget now even the context what we were saying.
5D chess?
Like women being stupid.
Oh, yes.
Marco Rubio.
I often say this.
Oh, no, it wasn't Marco Rubio. My bad. Whatever. It was Mike Penis, I believe. Anyway, one of the two said...
That'd be even worse if she was calling out Mike Penis.
She called out one of them for saying that Trump doesn't surround himself with intelligent women. think it was Rubio, actually. But anyway, so there's already the beginnings of some like inter-conflict or whatever. But
Yeah, which is good. That's what we want. Kamala Harris said that she was going to put a Republican in her cabinet. We're going to have some rivalry, but instead, Trump he puts like a woman, misogynist, pedophile, old man, like, he's mixing it up that way. So it's a different way. Like people who don't believe in vaccines, people who have brainworms, like, that's like a kind of like a cabinet of rivals in a way.
The rival is the brainworm.
Before we move past the Gates stuff, though, I did want to give my 5D chess take on this and bounce it off you.
Yeah.
Are we good? I think, and I tweeted this out just like as a question, but I 100% think that this entire Matt Gaetz fiasco, him being, nominated and then withdrawing and all that, was 100% orchestrated just as a way for him to save face. He was going to resign from the House so that they wouldn't release the dossier with all of the information about him being a rapist or whatever. But because he is like a close Trump ally, they cooked up the idea that like, throw out that you're going to nominate me for something so that it looks like I'm resigning for that, right? And then I will quickly withdraw from nomination to that, so that it's like, oh, yeah. And that's what I think. It was all meant to just be an ass cover for Gates to resign from the House and not look like he's running from the investigation. Because it moved so fast, and usually Trump world shit, they wouldn't do that. He wouldn't, like, pull the nomination instantly the second there was any pushback. You know what I mean? And not that Trump pulled the nomination, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I just thought this felt very orchestrated from beginning to end. Even down to the fact that it was announced like days before the fucking thing was supposed to drop.
Okay. I guess I don't quite realize how the series of events went down. Like, I didn't realize he resigned from...
Yeah, he resigned from the House.
In order to be considered for...
Right, it's not a requirement. There was no reason that he needed to do that.
So then that's a pretty like lame cover up, right? I mean... Right.
But it's, there's so much everything going on and moving pieces and palace intrigue and all this stuff that it's all kind of gotten overlooked.
But does that actually protect him from being investigated now?
Yeah, the second that he resigns from the House, the investigation was dropped. The only reason why stuff has come out from the dossier of because like I said, it was meant to be released within a couple days. The only reason why anything has come out is that the story the cover story for that is that it was hacked. That it was hacked and released by people who broke into the system. Now, obviously, that's not true, and it was leaked intentionally, but they're using that as like the cover for it. But when he resigned, the investigation was dead, and the thing was supposed to not come out.
Yeah, I mean, I totally buy that. If it's actually like, I mean, it's obviously not protecting him from any sort of outside legal inquiries, but I mean, it's yeah. So now he's just nothing. He's just Matt Gaetz.
Right. Right, because then when he said, "Oh, I'm going to pull my name out of like contention for being AG," then it's like the next question, and asked and answered. Well, are you going to go back to the House? And he said, "No, I'm not." So it's like, "Oh, you were trying to resign from the House no matter what."
Yeah, that makes sense. And it appears that this Bondi person is like not an improvement or whatever in any way from him,
but,
obviously.
Like ideologically, sure. Probably even like what is it? Like, oh god, what is the word I'm looking for? Credentials wise either. But yeah.
Yeah, it looks like she was Florida's Attorney General for 8 years.
At least she's done something. Gaetz was like zero. It didn't make any sense. He never even had like practiced law.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And then like I just assumed like, oh, like a lot of politicians, he probably went to law school. I don't know. I don't know if just going to law school is really
right. It's not.
Yeah, good enough to be the top lawyer in the country.
Every lawyer I've talked to has talked about like how different law school is from practicing law. and how much more you learn about and like learn to understand law from actually doing stuff than you do like in books.
Right.
So yeah.
And still President Biden, very officially, you know, he had Trump come into the White House and just very, very magnanimous.
He said, don't worry about taking off your shoes, Jack. Walk in the white carpet. I don't care. Put doo-doo on my couch. No one. It doesn't matter. Go for it. Base Trump, you can fuck my wife. Dr. Jill, get in here. Yeah. Yeah, he rolled out the red carpet.
It's kind of the vibe, really. Like,
yeah.
And again, it's just so funny to do this with Adolf Hitler himself.
Right.
And
the Mango Mussolini himself.
I mean, I'm trying to find the exact quote here, but like, I think it was at the DNC when Biden gave his like crazy screaming 3-hour speech or whatever, or it felt like 3 hours.
Right. Now DNC, that stands for Dumb Nit Convention, right? Is that it? Anyways, continue.
Yeah.
When Biden was giving his vitriolic speech.
Scanning this article from the old socialist rag. As Trump assembles dictatorial regime, Biden offers, quote, smoothest transition. President Joe Biden welcomed the aspiring dictator to the White House Wednesday and promised his full cooperation in the transition to the new government. I do like just reading like any source, even if it's a marginalized one, just like stating the obvious, unlike, you know, any other place. It's just like Joe Biden is being a good pragmatic politician. It's like, no, remember what he called this guy like 3 days ago? Yeah, said it says here at the DNC, Biden war.
He called him a real DNC.
That corn pop's going to be a real DNC, I tell you what.
Yes.
Biden warned that Trump would be, quote, a dictator on day one. Now he opened the White House to his successor, initiated a handshake for the press photographers to capture, and congratulated Trump on his electoral success. Yeah. I mean,
right.
Like, this is
it's
not
all the fucking kayfabe.
not breaking any news here, but it's still I still kind of marvel at the whole thing, especially like not even really the fact that these fuckers on top, these politicians are doing this stuff,
right,
but more about the people who buy into it. Like, still, that's the part that sort of boggles my mind. Or like don't it's not even like they don't like they buy into it. They just like don't even think about it. They're just like, Joe Biden's a good man, and he should follow, you know, norms and rules and procedures, and it's good. It's good that we do reach arounds across the aisle like this, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's like Trump. We talk about it, but Trump is like the breaking of the kayfabe of politics in a lot of ways, and the stuff that I talked about earlier, where it's just laid bare the idea that like you get elected on this fucking bullshit ticket so that then when you like come in, you just like, you know, like I said, you come in and you do nothing, but you go like, look, I stopped all that shit I made up. Like breaking the kayfabe, like the comparison, and this is like a deep like wrestling nerd dumb comparison, but some of the people who listen to this know about wrestling, so they might appreciate it. Like, in the, you know, the WWF, the evil company that has a connection to wrestling or to politics that we can maybe talk about later. You know, like in the 80s, Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik got busted. They got pulled over by the cops and they got tickets and probably even taken into jail at this time for having weed in the car, and they were driving together, right? And they both got in trouble. They both got fired from WWE because they were a good guy and a bad guy driving in the car together and getting arrested and busted. People heard about it. Hey, did you hear those guys that are fighting on TV are actually friends, right? And then in the 2000s, Sabu and RVD got busted. Same exact thing. Got pulled over in the car. They had weed in the car. They got in trouble. And instead of being in trouble because they're a good guy and a bad guy who are fighting each other on TV, they got in trouble in WWE because of having weed. Right? And it's like the idea of like kayfabe doesn't exist anymore. Who fucking cares that you're a good guy and a bad guy? But you can't be smoking pot. You know, we can't have people knowing that you're doing drugs, even though like it's a different kind of kayfabe. Even though we all know that they're all on fucking steroids and shit, it's like we can't have the public know that you're smoking weed. It's like this is the politics now. Like Biden should be a stand-up man and he shouldn't let fucking Hitler just roll right into the White House. And it's like, no, that kayfabe is fucking dead. But we do have like, pretending like trans people are fucking trying to murder your kids or whatever. And the people believe that. They believe like the stupider kayfabe rather than the like basic like Trump and Biden don't like each other. Like they don't buy that. Everyone's like, no, they fucking love each other. We all know that. But the teachers are trying to make your frogs gay or whatever.
Yeah, that got me thinking about the way that like the Obamas also did the same kind of like very magnanimous welcoming of the Trumps, and nobody held that against them. I mean, like, I don't know, it's just like the contradictions are just so wild to watch, like pussy hat marches, but then being like, Obama is the greatest person who's ever existed in history.
He's just so cool. And you can't blame him because, all the rappers talk about Trump and that's part of his culture. So he probably actually kind of thinks Trump is cool. You can't reason with them, if they hear enough people talk about it, they're going to like it. That's why they all have the bling bling and the wheels that spin. Mr. President, what would it be like if you hadn't had breakfast this morning?
I did want to just mention how, like, I think one of the crazier picks that I'm aware of, and I haven't like looked at every single one, but like, and I guess this one has gotten like other attention elsewhere for sure. Secretary of Defense,
Dr. Oz.
Well, that one's pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Only reason I could possibly even like tacitly support that is because it could potentially piss off John Fetterman, who I hate, I guess, even more. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
I still think Fetterman's gonna fucking win the Democratic presidency next.
Good God.
I really do. But yeah.
No, this fucking weird motherfucker, Pete Hegseth.
The Nazi tattoo guy.
Yeah, the guy just covered in iron crosses, which apparently are just supposed to signal. Only guys, they're not. It's not about Nazism. It's just about the Christian Crusades and how he's all into resurrecting the Crusades. No, he seems like a total fucking nightmare person.
He has a Deus Volk tattoo.
I don't know what that is.
Which is like that's like full Nazi shit. That's like the Volk, like the
I'm just trying to picture what it looks like.
The rising of the. I guess this is trying to say that it's also a Christian thing. It's part of the Crusades. But it was like fucking.
Nowhere has Christianity and Nazism ever crossed over.
It's like this is like the level of the whole like the swastika is a
Hindu
Indian symbol. Yeah, it's a Hindu. Like that's the level that you're going here with this shit. Where you're like, dude, this is come on, man. Can't you just like give money at the fucking on Sunday at the church or whatever? This is not how you prove that you're really Christian.
Yeah, and he's like, he's got he's just got the all-star credentials of like, sexual assault charges. They were dropped. And except they weren't dropped even. I think they just never were brought.
I heard there was a bit of like it was a shakedown, They were dropped out of fear of retaliation.
Yeah, he said something to the press about it recently that was very sort of cryptic because he said something like, as far as the press is concerned, here's the deal. I was like exonerated, which is also not true because there was never like a trial, and I don't know.
I've cleared my name. Yeah, the Mike Elgin heads will appreciate that one.
And he also has like, again, talking about like people with like no credentials, like Matt Gaetz becoming Attorney General. Like this guy was his highest rank in the military he was a major. And then the rest between his military service and now he's just been like a Fox News pundit, I guess, of some sort. I had never heard of this guy until this shit came up. But I don't know. I still do find it funny that like the libs are like not seem unbothered about Marco Rubio becoming Secretary of State. Like he wants to do so much fucking evil shit around the world and has been very open about it for years and years and years. I mean, the Secretary of Defense, I'm not going to say it's not like a completely meaningless position, but like I mean, it's kind of just like, it's like all of these things. It's like the presidency itself.
Right.
Like you're just another like kind of cog like plugged into your little spot, and like it rarely ever is changed by anything you do.
Sure. They don't have any real power either.
Yeah.
They just have influence, right? They're just technically in the room or whatever, but yeah. And not the movie. I'm not saying that they're in the movie like the lady whose house I was at when I watched WrestleMania. No, they're in the room, like in the room where they're making decisions.
I feel like Secretary of State is possibly even more consequential than the president, but I don't know.
I think actually like Chief of Staff is like the most consequential like member of the cabinet or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, because not to say like they all don't really have any actual entrenched power. They're not able to do anything technically. So they're all, again, just like give like opinions and advice and stuff. And they're again in the room while decisions are made. But Chief of Staff actually like kind of runs the White House and the day to day and like who visits, who comes and goes, and who gets seen and stuff. So they actually have a lot more influence on like what things get done, just by way of like making the schedule.
And if your president is in their twilight senile years, like that guy, like that the fucking chief of staff for Biden, who I think resigned maybe like last year, but Ron Klain, he was an evil little bastard. I'm sure he had a fair amount of influence over Sleepy Joe.
Right, of
with
course.
Trump, I don't know. I mean, Trump is, I think, falling into senility for sure, but like,
right,
he sort of appears to be more lucid, but and also is more like, what'd you call that? Damn it, there's like a clinical term for it. Something defiance disorder. Anyway.
Oh, oppositional defiance disorder.
Yeah, that's Donald Trump.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. I heard someone talking about that recently where they said like a lot of times he just wants to counter anything that anyone tells him to do. His gut is to just do the opposite.
But then if you're a savvy chief of staff, you know that, and you just do like reverse psychology shit on him.
Right. Right. And like I said, you have to keep in mind that like the chief of staff is going to be the person who actually speaks to him a lot more, explains things. And then as you talk about like the idea that like, oh, in the room and the decisions being made or whatever. But like those are the high pressure situations. And a lot of times like the low pressure situation where it's just one-on-one, it's going to be someone like the chief of staff talking to you, whatever, decompress after the meeting. Right.
Yeah. So
that's going to be the person who gives you the okay, this, you should listen to this person. They've got XYZ thing going into the meeting, and you actually pay, especially with someone like Trump whose mind wanders. Like in the meeting, he's not going to take in a ton of information, you know, but outside of the meeting is where you're actually going to be able to get to him, especially like I said, one-on-one, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's like, that's going to end up being, and that's, what's this bitch's name? Susie Wiles. And like I haven't heard good things about her, you know? So yeah, it's not good. It's not good, but they're all fucking crazy. And the stuff with like RFK, but like that's another one. It's like he doesn't have any real power, and people are freaking out like he's gonna pull fucking the fluoride out of the water and the GMOs and all this stuff. Like he's not gonna actually do any of that stuff. He's just gonna talk about it a ton, you know?
Secretary of Health and Human Services doesn't have a lot of mandate, as far as I understand. It's like you said, it's more of a communications platform.
Right. They all are, really, yeah.
So yeah, that's RFK. I mean, I know you were theorizing he might be the first to get the boot out of the big names or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess this is already old news, but I don't care because it was so funny to see that goddamn picture of RFK, Mike Penis, Elon Musk, Trump, and whoever else. I think Don Jr. on the private jet with their
McDonald's
big tray of McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah. RFK was really enjoying that. He's a big fan. He loves McDonald's.
Dude, I think I buy into the theory that it was all orchestrated as, well, it was like two birds, one stone. Like Trump was going to eat McDonald's anyway. He's like, let's humiliate Bobby. Let's make him know where he stands, where his real place is. Force feed him McDonald's.
Yeah. in the gangs, they call it, they say they sex you in, they haze you. They make you have to do something humiliating first before you can join the gang. That's what we're going to do to him. He wants to be part of the crew. He has to eat it. We're going to make him eat it. And you know what? He's going to love it. He's going to love it, folks. He's talking to one person as he says this. He's talking to literally his son, and he says, he's going to love it, folks. Isn't he going to love it? We love it. We love McDonald's, don't we? And it's just Don Jr. just going like, yeah, Dad, we're going to get him.
Elon Musk wanders in, jumps into an X shape, and is like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
USA.
If you look at the picture, Musk is sitting there with his typical fucking, just like, he's got the INTJ stare going on, and all of his containers are still closed. Other people are like breaking into it and they've eaten. He's like, actually, technically, I do not imbibe human food. I no longer, take in, he's one of those freaks who acts like he doesn't eat, but he really just like has Soylent. And then at 3 a.m. he like fucking scarfs down a bunch of fucking like snacks and treats that he has in the cupboard. But around people, he's acting like, oh, I actually, I can't be eating human food. I don't eat normal food. I'm actually part robot. It'll mess up the ears.
I didn't actually try to look too closely at this picture, but I just thought, does Elon Musk have Szechuan sauce on his tray there?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good point. He's got to have the epic meme sauce. You know what? We're going to have to look this up. All right, Jamie, pull that one up.
It's interesting to see who has what in front of them, because the only person with a Coke is RFK, yeah. And the only person with like an open container of food is RFK. But the person looking the saddest and forcing the fakest smile is also RFK.
Yeah. You know what? The Szechuan sauce looks like it was like black with red lettering and red and yellow lettering. So yeah, I don't think either of those are the Szechuan sauce. It doesn't look right. He was. You know what? The memes need to get on him. All of his fucking internet people who love the memes. He's not a real one. How could he be eating McDonald's with no Szechuan sauce?
Is Trump drinking an Orangina? Or
it looks like it's probably orange Fanta, but it could be an Orangina. It could be an Orangina. He says, "I like it. I like it. I like it." Orangina.
Trump also
folks, we love it.
Has a weird array of like glass jar like sauces in front of his.
Oh yeah, he
does.
What
is that?
Yeah, what is?
Is that like?
I don't know. Maybe that's just from the plane.
It's like adrenochrome tartar sauce or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the stuff that's been keeping him alive.
But then the biggest weirdo of all to me is the guy who's not even sitting down. It's just Mike Penis standing there, grinning from behind it all.
Penis is erect. That is true. That is true.
He gives me the fucking creeps, man. I think I said elsewhere, he creeps me out even more than Mike Pence, if you can believe it, with just that like bottled up like puritanical energy. Yeah.
He's got the Garrison Keillor vibe. If the Prairie Home Companion, if that companion was like a murderer, like a serial killer. Like that's his vibe. You know?
If Garrison Keillor weren't just a sex pest and was just a straight up serial killer.
Here's the joke. If the Prairie Home Companion, if that prairie was on land owned by the family from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
That's what he looks like. He's the son from Leatherface's like nephew that hangs out in the basement doing his own radio show, you know. That is Mike Penis.
If the Leatherface family had words are escaping me. Whatever that fucking mutual app he had with his son to make like they both porn accountability app. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I think they actually just did a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre recently, but they need a new one.
Nice.
With about the Pence family and their adoptive son who turns into Leatherface. It'll be like a mix of like Texas Chainsaw and The Blind Side. Perfect mashup.
It's interesting though because so obviously there's Mike Penis, who we've been talking about a lot, who's the Speaker of the House, right? But then the leader of Congress, or is it just the president of the Senate? The vice president is the president of the Senate, or is it the House, like all Congress?
That's right.
Yeah, just Senate. Okay, that's fine. Because I was gonna say there's a bit of a conflict of interest if Mike Penis and Vice President JD, which stands for Jorkin to Penis, because it's a hyphenated last name, because he's part of the Penis family. If they were in the same body of the house, like, you know, that would be a conflict of interest, but it's not, because he's in the Senate, not the House.
Well, we're gonna get to see them sitting next to each other behind Trump when he gives his big
that's
addresses.
Yes, of course.
That'll be fun. I was just trying to picture, like, you know, how Nancy Pelosi did her like sarcastic clapping from back there, and like ripped up the fucking pieces of paper, and everyone was like slay queen.
Oh.
Try to picture like the equivalent of Mike Pence. He'll just be like, he won't rip anything up. He'll just hold up like actual really heavy stone tablets of the 10 Commandments in both hands.
Yeah. Well, you know what oh, no, I was going to say if Vance was behind him, but they wouldn't have him. Yeah, when they do the big speeches, he's somewhere else.
No.
Designated survivor role.
Vance would be there, wouldn't he?
No, they keep the vice president is not in the room for big speeches like that for the designated survivor thing.
Oh, well, so then, okay, then it will be Pence on the camera left side, and then whoever the Speaker of the House is on the right side. Is that who? Yeah, that's what it is. No, that's what it is. Because Pelosi
I think Mike. Yeah,
Pence will be on the like left hand side, like TV wise.
Oh, for some reason I thought that Mike Penis is the Speaker of the House.
Oh wait, you're right. So then who the fuck is on the left hand side?
Josh keeps saying Pence or Mike Pence when he means to be saying Mike Johnson, aka Mike Penis. And both Josh and Tim confuse themselves into thinking the vice president doesn't sit behind the president during the State of the Union speech. We will see J.D. Vance sitting stage right, and Mike Penis sitting stage left behind Donald Mr. Hitler Drumpf.
Who's the majority? Who's the Senate majority leader right now, or who's going to be? I guess.
Oh, that's who it is. Whoever that is. I think it's going to be Mitch McConnell again.
Is it Chucky Shue?
No, because they lost.
I think it might be Chucky Shue.
They lost. They lost the Senate by a lot. The new count is Republicans 53 to 47. So it's pretty bad, folks.
That's not a lot. And that's not a lot, but yeah.
Well, it's more than the Democrats had for the last 4 years, where it was like basically split down the middle, and then had like the tie break of Kamala, who was a lot of help because the parliamentarian just wouldn't let them get anything done.
Yeah, they couldn't do it.
How is Mitch McConnell still alive? Like, wasn't he like completely shitting his pants and like zoning out like 5 years ago? I mean, I guess when you're rich,
these old, sure, but that's exactly what I was gonna say. The thing about these old gargoyle freaks like these is that like it's just about them being able to get back to their crypt and recharge. It's like a D&D game or like some kind of, they have to get like sleep and they get their potions and they bring their health back up. So it's like when you saw him and his hands were turning purple that one time and they were taking pictures, that was just because they had been in session. That's the real reason, because people go like, oh, why do they fucking take so many breaks? Why do they like leave? Like, why don't they fucking do their job? Why don't they vote? Like, they have to, they have to end the sessions. They have to do their recess so they can get back to their crypts and they can recharge in their coffins hanging upside down in the, and get the different potions and have clerics like use their healing magic to charge them. If they spend too much time away from there, that's where they become weak. So yeah, he got recharged. He's back to normal. He's full health right now. So yeah, he's not going to die anytime soon, hopefully. God willing.
I think he even older than Biden, slightly.
Probably. It says here that he is...
He's 82.
82. That is not good. Circling back, the whole reason we were talking, or the reason why I was talking about this, was to get to the thing, talking about if J.D. Vance was on the TV screen behind Trump while he was giving his speech, he would be, as the first, like, millennial in the White House, as they're saying, what he would do behind Trump as Trump was giving his speech is he would do the fucking heart hand. He'd be like, yes, I love him. And it would be the peak millennial moment. We would have the representation that we deserve. And honestly, it would probably catapult him to the presidency after Trump.
That's people are already guessing that he'll definitely run next time around.
Yeah.
Trump cabinet, I don't know. Linda McMahon, that seems to be a new
School
development
board?
since last week, at least.
Which just makes no sense. She has no connection to like the fucking Board of Education stuff in any way. It's insane appointment, but I mean they're all insane, but it might be no, I mean I think Gates was probably the worst, but like it's not very far off. There's absolutely no reason why she should be in that position. It feels like he just did like a randomizer. Like he didn't put any effort into like picking people who fit.
I mean,
where they're going.
What is I didn't even think about the idea that there was some connection between the McMahon dynasty and Trump. Although of course there is. Like Trump has always had.
Oh, there's a ton.
Trump has always had
huge.
I just kind of forgot, I guess, that Trump has always had some close ties to WWE, WWF, even back in the day. But you know more about that than me. What's going on? Is the wrestling world all abuzz with Linda McMahon fever?
Well, no, because the wrestling world is all abuzz with trying to distance themselves from Vince McMahon because they are actually trying to like sell stuff to the public. And people don't like, rapists. Like, you find out that, like, a television show that's, supposedly marketed towards children, but is actually watched by men in their 50s and 60s, doesn't do super well when, like, it's, openly supporting and being run by, like, a fucking, not only a rapist, but, like, a fucking sexual assaulter, manipulator, who's, like, covered up for fucking pedophile rings happening literally under his watch that everyone knows about. It's out in the open. Like, we've all talked about this. So, yeah, like, wrestling is not really talking about this and the Linda stuff that much, especially because Linda has, like, stepped away from the wrestling side of things even longer than Vince has. And there's just, like, the whole that, like, they're divorced or they're at least, like, been separated for a long time at this point, so people don't even think of them as necessarily together. There is a lot of stuff where people say basically, like, Trump taking over they're going to just pardon him from everything that they can and slow roll all of the stuff that he's currently under investigation for. That's like kind of the big stuff, just because it's like it looks bad, not even necessarily for like any real reason, because he's like, yes, he's got a lot of money, but he doesn't really have a ton of power anymore. Vince, that is. But yeah, Linda taking over fucking, education, Department of Education is insane, but she's just a figurehead because their whole point is just her job, much like when she was like actually involved with WWE, is just like a figurehead at the time when she was chairman of the board and she didn't do anything, is like to just be there, to be a warm body in a seat while they dismantle the fucking public education system. Like that's her job. But which I really wanted to mention in the realm of combat sports being a buzz with Vince McMahon fever was watching the UFC from this past weekend. And Trump was in the front row and he was with his cabinet.
He was with RFK,
there was a
right?
ton of
I think I saw a
RFK.
picture, yeah.
No, there was a ton. It wasn't just RFK.
Oh, okay.
There was like a bunch of people who like are in the, again, like are already announced to being in the cabinet. There was Musk, Tulsi, I think Mike Penis was there. There was a ton of people, and people weren't talking about it because, again, this is UFC world, so there's a lot of people who probably didn't recognize, like, some people that were just, like, kind of around him, and you only saw for, like, a second on camera, so people weren't talking about it as much. But yeah, it was like a ton of high-level people that have already been announced as part of the cabinet, and then I think someone who's going to be a part of the cabinet who hasn't been announced yet, which was Kid Rock. But, like, why else was Kid Rock right there with them other than, like, he's going to appoint him to something, right? What cabinet position do you think Kid Rock ends up getting?
God. music director of America. America's first DJ.
Right. Exactly. Oh, there it is. That's perfect. Yeah.
It'd be funny if they just threw him into the like the made up fucking the Doge or whatever. The I forget what what it stands for. The fucking fake thing with Elon and Vivek and just throw Kid Rock in there too. Why not? Apparently this Doge bullshit, which like. Is not even a governmental organization. Like they're explicitly considered like outside of the government, and they're purely just it's an advisory role, obviously. But the way that so many people are talking about it is like even people who like hate it are like misinformed and like spreading the wrong idea that like, oh, Elon's going to be in charge of cutting down the budget. It's like, no, he's not. He's just not. Like, I mean, he gets to say stuff to other people in an official capacity, I guess. He gets to, in an unofficial way, talk to people who have some official capacity, who is actually going to be MTG, I guess, is going to be working in whatever the fuck agency. Or it's not even agency. It's just like a fucking whatever, like congressional committee or whatever. And then they just pass the word along. Like, it's like, there's just so many, like, it is true that there's a lot of bloat and uselessness within the government, as conservatives love to say, but it's just all the shit that they don't care about is the stuff that should be just burned and thrown out.
That's the stuff that they like. Right. I mean, obviously, it's fucking not new. Everyone has already been saying it a ton, but it's like Elon is the fucking Doge. Like the money that the government's been giving him for years should be cut. Because there's an article you have here talking about how fucking bad the Tesla cars are, and like how much on the hook is America for that bullshit. But yeah. I did make a tweet where I said that I was going to join the Doge, and I said that it stands for the Department of Getting Eaten. So I'm into that. I'm gonna get my I need an eater for real, folks. I don't want these fake eaters out here. Anyways, another thing that happened on the UFC was the greatest MMA fighter of all time, Jon Jones. He defended his heavyweight title in the main event, and post victory, he did the Trump dance, as they were saying. We've all kind of seen the GIF. I guess it's not the biggest Trump thing, but it is kind of a big thing. He does the like hands on the side and just kind of points and shimmies. He did the Trump dance and he pointed at Trump after he won. And he talked about being a good Christian man. This is a man who's failed multiple drug tests for cocaine use, primarily. He was in a drunk driving or inebriated driving accident that I believe caused the death of a pregnant woman, or at least he hit a car that was being driven by a pregnant woman while he was high on drugs. But he said that he was a good Christian man and that he supported our good Christian president, Donald Trump. So it was very interesting to watch as that all happened. It was a good fight, though. I would recommend checking it out. It was, whatever. It kind of stuck. His challenger was a bit of a washed up, used to been kind of guy, but it was just entertaining to watch Jon Jones, because that's like the thing about Jones. I don't know if anybody cares to hear me say this, but one of the most entertaining parts about Jon Jones is just watching him manhandle people and basically take like fully grown adults and throw them around like he's fucking playing wrestling with a baby in the living room. That's like kind of the funnest, and he was definitely doing that.
I'm just picturing Tulsi Gabbard's reaction to all of this.
Oh, I'm sure she was loving it, right? As a pacifist, as a proclaimed pacifist.
Pacifist in concluded long ago conflicts.
Right.
Hawk in all current ongoing conflicts. And I suppose maybe as a final word here. Wait, one more thing on the stupid, all this Trump bullshit. The hosts of Morning Joe Scarborough, and what's her name? That's right,
Mika Brodinski.
They put their differences aside and went down to Mar-a-Lago and had a little meeting with Trump, and I think they commented on it because people were like, "The fuck, you've been calling this guy Hitler until yesterday," and I guess they got like a huge plummet in their ratings after this as well.
It's so the MSNBC thing, and there was like a story saying like they're trying to sell it, or maybe they're going to sell it, and they're transitioning owners, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And you bringing that back up actually just circle back to something that I did want to talk about with this is like kind of Rachel Maddow, Morning Joe, and the dying kind of like news industry, cable industry, whatever. It does kind of feel like they had accepted that this was it. Like we're hitting the wall territory, and they were just gonna let like, you know, the people that are there now just kind of ride it out and finish up like cable television, cable news until we just like, you know, get over this and then move on. But it's like the death is like, it's obviously coming, but it's precipitous, but it's like taking a while, and we're not like getting there super quick to where you are getting to a point now. When you talked about like the Rachel Maddow, it crossed my mind. It's like the idea that she's like, I don't want to rehash all this fucking Trump stuff again that I was doing in 2016. I'm just not into it. And it's like, yeah, the idea was that you were just going to like ride this out until fucking, you know, cable TV just died. But now you're like, I don't really have the energy to recycle this stuff. We're not dead. It's like, keep going. So they're just like slowly limping along. And it's like, they're going to have to like replace these people. They're not going to, I don't think that they have a plan for what to do next, because their plan was, we're just going to die out and they're going to be the last ones. But it's like, no, fuck, like it's not dying fast enough. So we're going to have to replace them. And it is like feeling like that, where it's like, what are we doing? Like, we gotta finish this up, but it's just, does it make sense to bring somebody new in? No. It's gonna be over soon. And it's just like, it's stretching it out to the point where you're like, no, we're gonna have to fucking do it. Cause they gotta get them at it. Like, Maddow is like the worst. Like, she has fucking zero credibility now at this point. Like, how do you keep her around? And Scarborough is not looking very good either with this shit. Like, you gotta get them out of there. But again, like I said, they're just like, we're gonna have to teach them all the fucking stuff, and they're only gonna be here for a couple months. Is it do we really gotta do this? You know, that's like kind of the vibe.
Yeah, it's like hard to know exactly, but like, I think someone even like Rachel Maddow still has enough like diehard supporters, people who follow that kind of worldview. Like, I'd call them the people that think that SNL has the most biting political satire crowd. That'll be an interesting thing to watch as well, to see like if SNL just does a fucking, you know, reboot of or just complete redo of 2016. And
right,
I feel like they already started weighing in on, like, did I just imagine that they brought what's his face back, the guy who played Trump forever, Baldwin? Yeah,
I don't know if they did or not, but they got that other guy now. What's his name? Like Austin something or other. He does like the
that means
Trump
that
impersonator
Baldwin
guy
must be out. But it'll be funny when they bring him back and everyone standing ovation. You know, like, he's back. We forgive him for killing that person.
Right. James Austin Johnson. He's the guy. He got famous for doing a Trump impersonation. People go crazy about how good he is at his Trump impersonation, and he's part of the cast, right? So it's like, but what they could do, if they were smart, what they would do is that they would write some kind of time travel Trump sketch, and that's when you bring back Baldwin, is you have the guy, the Austin guy, playing like young, because he's younger and slimmer. You have him doing the young Trump, and then you have Alec Baldwin show up in like a time travel situation where he's the old future Trump here to like tell him something from the future. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you do. But yeah, anyways.
I don't think I've actually seen this guy you're talking about, but like,
he got popular on TikTok.
The guy who, sorry, my head's full of cobwebs. I can't think of fucking anything. Shane canceled.
Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis. He does a really good Trump, actually.
He does, yeah.
Be fun if they just like brought him back on. Like, I think they did. I think he came back to host or something. Whatever. SNL,
I don't know if he hosted, but I do think he came back.
Not as like a cast member, but like as for like.
Actually,
I think he
Right.
hosted.
You're probably right. It's also actually funny to say he came back because he never actually was on the show.
He wasn't? I thought he was for like
No,
a little bit.
He got announced. No, he got announced as a new cast member, and then people started posting videos and clips of him talking about Asian people, and then they just said, "Oh, he's not going to be part of the cast ever," and he never actually did anything on SNL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he did. You're right. He did come back as host, and he hosted it like a year later or whatever.
Yeah, you know who else fucking hosted in like 2015 or 2016? Donald Trump.
I don't know, Donald Trump. Yeah.
That was pretty funny to see like what SNL like went on to become this like resistance, like
Right.
the expression, the weekly expression of the resistance for 4 years. I got let me just circle back real quick to the reason I brought up this Morning Joe shit with them meeting with Trump is that they're doing it like explicitly because they were worried about Matt Gaetz indicting Joe Scarborough for his like very suspicious possible involvement in the death of an intern in his office.
Yeah.
Which I remember
Which
reading
this is
about.
very old, right? This is like from like the 80s or 90s.
It was probably from the 90s, yeah.
Oh.
But like, I don't know. I think there's there's a small contingent of like Joe Scarborough is a murderer, truthers out there still.
Sure. I've heard people connect the Scarborough death to being part of the Clinton body count.
I mean, I don't know how that works, but I'll just agree that.
Yeah, like that he was like, because Scarborough was a senator before he was on TV.
Right.
And he was on Democratic Party. He was connected, and he was a rising star. So yeah, I've heard people say, not like, whatever, but like that the Clinton, the Clinton family, the Clinton murder family was involved in killing that intern or whatever. But yeah.
Was Scarborough a Democrat always? Like, what's his arc is like he's gone back and forth between being like conservative and liberal, isn't it? Like, I don't know, whatever. I guess it doesn't matter. I thought at one point he was like considered a conservative, like maybe like during like the Bush years, like he was basically like, I'm not gonna be able to find it right now, but it's just my memory that he's very much like a, he kind of goes where the wind blows type of thing. But yeah, his wife said, for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why aren't we? Or sorry, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
That's just like that fucking like Royal Tenenbaums bit, fuck, now I can't even remember it. People say Custer died at Little Bighorn, but what my book presupposes is maybe he didn't.
Well, everyone knows Custer died at Little Bighorn. What this book presupposes is maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to say, Joe and I realized it's time to do something different, and that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him. These people suck so much.
Yeah.
I thought there was a quote where they directly said they were worried about. Okay, it says here a source said that the hosts were, quote, petrified of retribution and concerned that Gaetz, blah blah blah, would probe the death of the intern. The source said the fears had nothing to do with ratings or Comcast. Anyway, I just feel like that's sort of illustrative of a lot of the attitudes of the very same people who've been screaming, "Here comes Hitler! Here comes Hitler!" Oh, let's go down to Florida and chat with Hitler. Like, it's just so funny to me. No shame. These people got.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, listen, it's like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna just be on the outside screaming into the Holocaust? You're gonna be more effective being inside the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Actually directing the fucking gas chambers. Actually, being able to pull the levers that fire up the ovens. Like, you're not gonna do any good just being on the outside, fucking throwing bottles at Auschwitz.
Yeah, you got to put on a suit and tie and work from the inside of the establishment.
That's it. Yeah. That is literally actively murdering and committing a genocide. It's the only way to make a difference is to be part of the genocide.
Part of the genocide and part of starting a nuclear war with Russia, which seems to be what Biden is trying to do in his last days here. Like, this bumbling
smart,
fucking idiot is just like wandering around the halls of the White House, like just signing off on like, yeah, let Ukraine fire stronger missiles further into Russia, even though Russia has said they will retaliate pretty hard, and they did. They launched one of these like large missiles that normally carries like 4 nuclear warheads on it. I mean, it didn't have the nuclear warheads on it, but they're obviously sending a very blatant message here of like, fucking keep testing us. Right. Next time this missile will have the warheads on it. So that's happened in like the last couple days, and it doesn't seem to be nearly as important to the news as it should be, I would say.
Right.
And then I'll definitely cover this more in detail, just the last thing here. But, it's partly good news. It's partly depressing news in its own way. But the International Criminal Court did finally issue the arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. And predictably, the U.S. government and other governments, although I believe that like Europe in general, aside from maybe Germany, is like kind of starting to finally back away from this shit slowly. But anyway, the U.S. of course is like, we totally disavow the International Criminal Court. They've got no jurisdiction just because we say so. This is bullshit, basically. Karine Pierre, whatever her name is, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House
the guy from Star Trek.
Yes, the guy from Star Trek came out. He did a face palm and said, I can't believe this shit that they're doing to my man, BB.
I'm getting too old for this shit. And this shit is, in quotations, means genocide.
Part of her rationale for why these charges are bogus is that they investigated too quickly, even though they took like 10 times longer than they normally would have to actually issue these warrants after they were requested for, like, I think it was like 6 or 7 months ago, maybe even longer. Like when they requested to like put out arrest warrants for Putin, it took like 5 seconds. But anyway, so I mean, nothing's going to come of it, I'm sure, but it sort of is like defining a new precedent of like, just because you're a U.S. proxy state doesn't mean we won't like actually at the very least issue the warrants. Whether or not we'll enforce them is a different story, of course. But I don't know. It's something, because like in normal times, I guess you would call them, like they wouldn't have even gotten to the point of requesting the warrants, let alone actually issuing them.
Right.
So it's something. And it also it forces the U.S. to like show, fully drop the mask, whatever, and just be like, what they're doing is perfectly fine. We're fine with it. And, just in case anyone's wondering, update, things have not improved Palestine or Lebanon. Things are getting worse, if you can believe it. But yeah, I'll try to bring back the Eschaton review. It's been gone for like a couple weeks now. But
it's been dormant.
Try to get that back together, and
people will not stop begging for new episodes.
All the World War III news that's fit to print. But on that note, feels like a place to wind up here.
Oh yeah.
I've got a recommendation.
Please.
I finally got around to that show that only came out like, I don't know, a couple months ago probably now. Mm-hmm. Fallout? Anybody? Fallout?
Oh,
anybody
check that out, yeah.
It's really good. I watched it all in like a day. It's based on a video game property, and it's
one of these damn Vitcha games.
It's about the end times, which so many TV shows are about these days. Dystopia, after the world's been nuked to shit. And it's got some great actors. Walton Goggins, always a treat to watch. He's
the God.
He's probably one of the best characters on the show. But everyone's pretty good. It's fun. It's a little campy while also being, partly a fairly dramatic. But I don't know. I'm looking here on Wikipedia, and it does not call it. It does not use the word comedy in the description. I would say it's definitely like a dramedy type situation. But I don't know. Maybe that's just my sick, twisted sense of humor.
Yeah, you are kind of a messed up guy.
I just want to watch the world burn. But yeah, so that was fun. And then immediately after that, I watched another show that involves people like living underground. But it was this show called Silo, which is more of a unlike Fallout. It's like a very super serious type drama, and it's very like palace intrigue type stuff. It's about this giant underground silo society of like 10,000 people, but like nobody seems to know how they got there. Like they've been living there for like 150 years or something. But it's fun. I would say Fallout is more fun, but I enjoyed Silo as well. Silo also had some prestige actors like Tim Robbins. I hadn't really seen him in anything in a while, I feel like. But yeah, check that one out too. Also good.
I can't 100% give it the recommendation, but you mentioning watching a show a couple months behind and giving it the recommendation, catching up, did remind me of I have started watching. Like I said, I'm not sure because we're only like a couple episodes in if I should 100% give it the recommendation yet. We'll see. But I have started watching The Wire television program, The Wire.
Yeah, that came out a couple months ago.
So far. Well, you mentioned something that's a little bit older.
I know.
It's just like, oh yeah. So yeah, I like I said, can't say 100% if I would recommend watching it just yet. I'm not can't say, but I am doing a Twitter thread reviewing my watch of The Wire. Just kind of mentioning stuff. So they say go check that out. I'll be updating it as I watch, so it'll pop up on the timeline as new takes come. There was something I was gonna actually recommend, and now I forgot what it was. I remember now. I was gonna say I recommend having friends from childhood. Have friends from your childhood, keep them, hang out with them, and go and stay at their place now that they have a couple of kids of their own who wake you up early in the morning and come down and play Legos and read princess stories to them and eat a banana. And then have them say, why does Tim get to eat a whole banana? Why don't I get to eat a whole banana? Why do I only get half of a banana? And then their parents have to tell them, because you only get half of a banana. Tim can eat a whole banana. I want a whole banana like Tim. And then when they say that, the parent has to say, let's start with half and then we'll see if you're still hungry. So I recommend doing that. Do that. Go and hang out with friends that you've known since you were a kid. Hang out with their kids. It's pretty fun. It was a good fun trip that I had last week.
I'll co-sign that. I've had fun doing that as well.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Did you say you're on the first season of The Wire?
Yeah, I'm like on the first couple of episodes. I think we're on like episode 4.
People always talk about the second season being like divisive. I would say don't listen to that. I think it's only divisive because this is not a spoiler. It shifts focus onto like more like white characters, but then like the rest of the series. So if you don't like that, if you're like, what's all this whitey honky horse shit? Yeah. The third, fourth, and fifth, or however many more seasons there are, all go back to like kind of what the first season is doing. But yeah, it's
so the other seasons are doing DEI.
Yeah.
Well, I might not like that. Especially we've already like established a gay character, and I'm like, can we just keep fucking politics out of the show? I'm just trying to watch the show. I don't need that stuff thrown in my face,
Is Michael K. Williams' character?
Yeah.
That's a good show. I haven't rewatched that for a minute, by which I mean many years.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a good one. Controversial stance. The Wire is good TV.
Hey, I didn't say that yet. I'm not.
I'm saying it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's fine, but I don't co-sign. Someone did respond to one of my tweets on the thread saying that Michael K. Williams, talking about the show, said that his character on the show should have been more gay.
I like that.
So he wasn't gay enough. Yeah, so I'm interested to see where that goes.
R.I.P. Michael K. Williams. That guy ruled.
Yeah. AIDS. It got him. It got him from being too gay. So maybe he should have been less gay in real life. Anyways.
So, check out the show description where you can follow your way to the Discord, join the Discord, check out all the other links, give us a rating, give us a review, give us a subscription, whatever, etc. Tim, you got another podcast. What's that all about?
Oh, it'll be back probably around the time that this comes out. We haven't done an episode for a couple of weeks. But we'll be back and we'll be talking about some Joshi wrestling, Japanese women wrestling. There's a big pay-per-view happening this weekend. We might mention it a little bit here and there, but who cares? The exciting thing is we're going to be talking about some Joshi that's happened in the past month or so. Since we're not on hiatus, we just haven't done an episode. Either way, that'll be out, and that is on violentpeople.co. It's QNTR. You can find it wherever podcasts are sold.
Joshi is the Korean pronunciation of Josh. So whenever I hear that,
nice.
I feel like I'm being summoned or talked about.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's what they call women wrestling in Japan.
Right. All right. And as Peter Hegseth's favorite homosexual agendist philosopher, Ludwig Wittgenstein, always says, the real question of life after death isn't whether or not it exists, but even if it does, what problem this really solves. Good night. Good luck. Good morning, Vietnam.
Crazy sounding restaurant. They're gonna try and get behind you. Don't you let them do it. You know what I'm talking about? You hear me talking? You hear me talking? It's pretty scary, baby. It's so revolting. It's pretty scary, tell me. It's so revolting. Take a stop out of the country. And turn around.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?